Welcome back to the Intuitive Health Studio podcast. My name is Kelsey. I'm a clinical naturopath and nutritionist. And in today's episode, we are talking about how your gut microbiome influences your mood. Yes, you heard that correctly. Your gut microbiome, aka your good gut flora, directly influences your mood and your nervous system. So I wanted in this episode just to cover some different topics or specific topics around this, just so you have an understanding of what actually happens and have some, clarity on how your body is connected, because we can kind of see the mood and the gut in silos, but really they are working together. So we really want to help you. I want to help you understand that and really support you in, just getting some more knowledge around this topic. So it's super interesting. There are a lot of books out there. There's a lot of research out there that has shown that your gut health plays an important role in your mood, mental clarity, and emotional balance. So when I'm talking about gut microbiome or gut flora, I'm talking about the good bacteria in your gut. So your gut has trillions and trillions of different gut bacterias, good and bad. We need a mixture of both, and they play a role in supporting and influencing key brain chemicals such as serotonin and GABA. So in this episode, I'm just going to more so deep dive into GABA and serotonin. I'll let you know what they are coming up. But why this is important is because they influence brain chemicals like serotonin and GABA, it helps regulate happiness, calmness, and relaxation. So you might have had before that feeling of, when you're feeling stressed or anxious, your gut is feeling a little bit off. You might have felt the butterflies in the stomach, maybe before a big event or a speech or even just like a family event. This is your gut-brain connection at work, and this is where your gut is connected to your brain, or your brain connected to your gut, and it's causing these different changes. So why this is important to understand is when we think about our gut, we can kind of think about it in a silo, when really it is the second brain. We call it the second brain because of the receptors in there. It's called the enteric nervous system. What that basically means is your nervous system or nerve endings that are connected through your intestines or on the outside of your intestines. This is the communication channel between your digestive system and your central nervous system. So it's how your brain is constantly talking to each other through nerves, especially the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a really big nerve in your body that stems from your brain to your digestive system. But we also have different things like hormones and immune signals that are connected through this enteric nervous system. So when we are looking at this, what we need to understand is the bacteria is living inside the intestines, right? So what happens when we digest food or ingest food and nutrients? Those different nutrients are turning into amino acids and specific nutrients needed for the nervous system, right? So we need specific nutrients to be able to support the conversion of these neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA. If we don't have those nutrients, we don't have the bacteria there to properly digest and absorb these nutrients, then that can start to affect our mood. So when we are looking at the gut microbiome, we want to make sure that it's balanced, right? We want to make sure that we have a good number or a good ratio, between not so great and good bacteria. You never want a barren environment. That is when you can start to experience bloating and burping and just really painful or gassiness in the stomach, because essentially you don't have the bacteria there to be able to break down the food. And then this can affect your mood as well, like I mentioned before, because if you don't have the bacteria there to actually break down the nutrients, it means you're not breaking down the nutrients. And what this can lead to is called dysbiosis, which means that your gut microbiome or your gut itself is inflamed or sluggish, or you have this imbalance of this bacteria. So what this does is it limits how much of the nutrients are actually absorbed properly. And you might, because the gut is so big, like the intestines are so long, you have so many different sections where nutrients can get absorbed, right? So it might not be the whole intestine, it might be parts of the intestines, but what this does is it can impact how your neurotransmitters are formed, and it can create symptoms like anxiety or low mood, brain fog or fatigue, poor sleep, and an increased stress response overall. So this is why supporting your gut health is so important for your mental health. So I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into how specific bacteria support GABA and serotonin production. Why I'm picking these two is because these are heavily influenced on how we feel in like happiness wise, but also calm. So if you're feeling a little bit anxious, you might not be creating as much GABA as you need to. If you're feeling a bit low, you might not be creating as much serotonin as you need to. So these two specific neurotransmitters are heavily influenced by the gut bacteria. So first, going into serotonin. So serotonin is your happy hormone. Around 90% of serotonin is made in the gut, not the brain, which is absolutely astonishing. We always think of nervous system hormones happening in the brain, when a lot of the work happens in the gut, and serotonin is one of those. So we need healthy bacteria to help produce and regulate serotonin levels. So this will influence your mood, your sleep, and overall emotional well-being. So GABA, which stands for, or short for, gamma aminobutyric acid, GABA is our calm chemical. That means that we need GABA to calm down the mind. It will help reduce anxiety, improve sleep quality, and promote relaxation. So if you're going to bed and your mind is just racing, more often than not, that is because you have limited GABA there to relax the mind. So certain gut bacteria actually directly help increase GABA activity in the brain, which is super cool. When I'm reading these things and studies, it's just absolutely astounding to me that this is just so cool. Like, bacteria can produce these things that make us feel calm and make us feel happy. So it's just really interesting, and I hope you're finding this interesting as well, like just diving a little bit deeper in this. But this is why having a balanced microbiome, meaning that we have good stuff, there's not so great stuff lingering there, but they're not overpowering or being an overgrowth in the gut, will help produce these compounds that help your brain stay calm, clear, and positive. So I've mentioned a lot about the bacteria, right? I've mentioned a lot about the species. So what does that actually mean? So I should have said this at the start, but what I mean by good bacteria, that is your probiotics. So you probably have gone to the shops and your gut has been playing up and you've felt, okay, maybe I need a probiotic. Probiotic is the good bacteria. The good bacteria, there's so many different strains of, or species, specific strain species of good bacteria, and each have their own responsibility. Some obviously cross over, but each have their own responsibility. So that's why working with a health practitioner like myself to actually delineate which probiotics are best suited for your symptoms is the best way to go about it. Because yes, you might get a little bit of relief if you have some probiotics just off the shelf, but if you're looking to treat a certain condition or really support certain symptoms, you really need to choose and select certain species. So even in food sources, they have specific species that live in there, and they might help with your overall gut health, but they might not be helping your symptoms. So when we're looking for the best bacteria, the best probiotics, the best good bacteria to support your mood, there's a couple that I wanted to share with. So we have number one, Lactobacillus Rhamnosus. Sorry, these pronunciations are going to be terrible. I apologize, but it helps increase GABA receptor expression, and so in turn, it may help reduce anxiety. So Lactobacillus, this overall species is really good for the skin, really good for the vaginal microbiome, really good for the gut. Honestly, great for anything. The other species, Bifidobacterium longum. So this particular species actually has a lot of research on it because it has so many benefits in increasing its capacity or increasing its amounts in the body. So Bifidobacterium longum has shown to support relaxation and reduce stress, or the stress hormone cortisol levels. This is also important because we want a good balance of bacteria, so specific hormones like cortisol and estrogen aren't going to get reabsorbed into the body. We really want that shift out of the body, so these species will actually help with that. So the other ones, Lactobacillus plantarum, also supports serotonin metabolism and reduces inflammation that can impact the mood. And Bifidobacterium breve, it may improve mood stability and resilience to stress. This bacteria is also really great for constipation. So why this is important is if you experience constipation, if you have constipation, so you're not going every 3 days, maybe a week, what this does is, like I mentioned before, toxins, bacteria, not so great things reabsorb into the body. So I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase, a good poo equals a good mood. That is 100% correct. If you are not doing a good poo, like I ask my clients, does it feel complete after you've gone? Do you feel complete after you've gone? If you don't feel it complete after you're gone, that means that things aren't moving around. Your stool isn't moving out of your bowel correctly. So Bifidobacterium breve will help with that. But why this saying is kind of just spot on the money is because what I mentioned at the start of the episode, 90% of your serotonin is made in the gut. So when you have a good poo, it increases serotonin levels, so you feel good, you feel happy. And it sounds like absurd, but it's so very true. And I want you to kind of bring your self-awareness to that as well. So these specific microbes or microbiome, probiotics, good gut flora, there's so many different names for the one thing, are called psychobiotics, probiotics. So they support both the gut and brain health. So what does this mean? So what do you do from here? What symptoms do you actually need to be able to support this, or maybe you're not sure? First, definitely reach out to a practitioner. I do consults online and in person. So I do consults online in person in Australia. So we can do gut testing, or because my questionnaire that I do is quite thorough, like we can do things, we can tweak things right off the bat. Like that's what I love doing, is there's always something that we can improve on, even if it's just a little bit. It might be diet, it might be lifestyle, it might be water, it might be sleep. If we need to do further testing, we will. We'll do functional testing. We can do a microbiome mapping test. We can do different tests to get the lay of the land of the gut. So if you are struggling with anxiety, fatigue, these are signs that your gut might be trying to tell you something. So this could be linked to other symptoms that you're experiencing, like bloating. You could get sugar cravings, constipation, irregular digestion. You could be having low energy or poor concentration. You could have food sensitivities. You could feel wired but tired as well. Again, this goes back to the nutrient absorption. If you don't have the good bacteria there, it means you're not actually properly digesting your foods. You could be having the best environment, the best diet, but your food is just not digesting and absorbing. So I wanted to give you some tips on what you can do now to better improve your gut health to support your mood. These are just simple tips that anyone can do, and really about gut health, it's about doing it slow, and for a long period of time. Gut health and gut support and supporting your mood and supporting your digestion takes some time. As long as you're making small, consistent steps, you will see a difference in 2, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. You just have to continually make those steps. So eating fiber. So fiber is thrown around a lot, but fiber is so important for your health. That comes from vegetables, comes from oats, legumes, chia seeds, flax seeds. But what fiber does, it feeds the beneficial bacteria. So if you're trying to build the good bacteria, you need to feed it. If you don't have the good bacteria there and you add in fiber, that is when the fermentation is going to happen. That's when the bloating is going to happen, because you're not actually feeding anything. It just sits in your gut and ferments and causes gas. So what you need to do is also pair that with probiotics, so foods that have good bacteria in them. So that could be sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, yogurts. They can all have, any fermented foods have a little bit of those good bacteria in them. One thing that is so incredibly important for anything, for any condition, is to manage your stress levels. So chronic stress alters the gut barrier composition. So what that means is if you're under a lot of stress, your gut environment doesn't feel safe to be there. So your good gut flora starts to die. The not so great bacteria finds this as an opportunity to grow. See how you need to manage your stress levels so your body feels safe to have this nice, nurturing, nourished environment. So really practicing calming practices like yoga, deep breathing, meditation, journaling, getting out in the sunshine, low intensity exercise, being with community and being with friends and family can really support and manage your stress levels. So always have your meals with enough protein and healthy fats with every meal, with the veggies and the different fiber sources as well. And specific nutrients such as zinc, glutamine, omega-3 fatty acids can help with building that gut barrier and help reduce inflammation, because we need to reduce inflammation. We need to support the body to come into the parasympathetic nervous system state more for your body to feel safe to heal, essentially. So hopefully that was insightful. There's a lot of things there, but it's really about just going back to the basics. And it's super, super important to really nourish your gut health to support your mood. So we need to do both to really support your whole body. So like I mentioned, I offer consultations in person and online. So if you are interested in diving a little bit deeper into your gut health, into how we can support your nervous system and your mood, definitely book a consult. You can jump onto my website, intuitivehealthstudio.com, and make sure that you follow me on my Instagram pages, so Intuitive Health Studio and also Naturopath Kels. I'd love to see you over there. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please give the podcast a 5-star rating, and I would really, really appreciate that, because it helps boost my podcast and help reach more people to help them in their own health. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.